Hi, I just want to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, and it's the Jeet Kune Do that I've been seeing on YouTube and other clips on the internet. If you look at Jeet Kune Do from people that just post videos of themselves, you'll see them practicing many different arts. Like you can see them practicing what looks like Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kali, the stick fighting, or wrestling or Kung Fu, or whatever the style is. Right, you'll see people call something Jeet Kune Do, which has little or sometimes no resemblance whatsoever to what Bruce Lee was teaching and training him before he died. And so to me, Jeet Kune Do, Jun Fang Kung Fu, whatever you want to call it, like Bruce Lee's fighting methods, training methods that he was working on before he died. To me, that is Jeet Kune Do. I see everything that Bruce did is his martial art, and I see what he called Jeet Kune Do was Jeet Kune Do. Like, he had certain ways of doing things. Like, he had certain footwork he taught. He had certain ways to punch, certain ways to kick, certain grappling techniques, whatever it was that he was teaching. But it all had a reason for everything he did had a reason for it. Like, he wouldn't have 10 different ways to throw a front kick. He wouldn't have a Muay Thai round, say Muay Thai front kick, karate front kick, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, whatever it is. He wouldn't learn all these different ways to throw a front kick. He wanted to look at the most scientific way to do it, the most scientific way to deliver a technique. And he realized that the more direct a technique is, the less energy you use, the less telegraphed it is, and the higher chance it does have of reaching your opponent. So Bruce wanted to make everything scientific. He didn't just mix all these different martial arts together and have a conglomeration of techniques, because he realized that his belief was that there are certain ways, certain things are effective, but there are certain other techniques that are more efficient. So they're effective, but they're more efficient than other ways of doing things. So what I don't understand is how people can take Bruce's philosophical ideas of using no way as a way, having no limitation as a limitation, quotes like that from him, and then they see it as, oh, okay, so no limitations, so I can train in all these different styles, and what I like to throw together, that's Jeet Kune Do. So let me get this straight. So if someone wants to learn Jeet Kune Do, they have to go learn from someone. They're going to learn from someone who trained in all these different these martial arts that got mixed together. That was their preference, and then that's their Jeet Kune Do. That's Jeet Kune Do they're going to learn from them? That doesn't make any sense to me. If people have this mindset where it can be whatever they want, you could have an unlimited amount of ways that Jeet Kune Do can look. And that doesn't make sense, because Jeet Kune Do has a structure, it has certain principles, it has certain guidelines for techniques and things like that. So I don't understand it very much, how people can think that. Sure, Bruce wanted to not be dogmatic. He didn't want to limit himself to a style, because if he saw that a certain style had something to offer him that he didn't have, then he would look into it. But he would always look to improve technique, not add on technique to his arsenal. So it wasn't just mixing martial arts. A lot of people, I don't know why they think that, but a lot of people that I've seen, on YouTube, what they do has little or no resemblance whatsoever to Jeet Kune Do, Jun Fang Kung Fu that Bruce is practicing. So to me, that doesn't make sense, because how in these people that you see, a lot of times they learn from books, they watch some DVDs, or they just get the idea of using no way is the way, or whatever quote they take of Bruce Lee, and then they just create their own Jeet Kune Do or something. I don't get it. So I just want people to understand that Bruce had he had a curriculum for how he taught his students. There's a right way to punch for him. There's a right way to kick. It's something that was, the most scientific way to punch, the most scientific way to kick, things like that. So what I want people to understand is that, yes, Jeet Kune Do can be taught. The way I see Jeet Kune Do is that it's what Bruce did, and only what Bruce did. Sure, some people might try to improve things, and I know he welcomed that, and that's fine. But there's training methods, fighting methods, techniques that Bruce had that he was practicing with himself. He was training students, training with other martial artists. And those were all his techniques. That was his, you could say his expression of combat was all these scientific, logical techniques. And sure, yeah, but that's, to me, it's illogical, because the way that Bruce devised these techniques, like the way you perform certain punches or kicks, are the most simple, direct techniques. It's like the most simple way you can punch, the most direct way you can kick, whatever the case may be. But I don't understand why people think that Jeet Kune Do, if you leave it the way it is, it's static and it becomes another style. Well, it's not Jeet Kune Do, it's not about just adding for the sake of adding. It's not about having all these different drills, all these different techniques from other martial arts and just lumping them together. It makes no sense. So you're just going to overwhelm yourself with all these different drills, different techniques, and you're going to keep building up your arsenal. And that doesn't really make sense to me. Why learn 10 ways to throw a jab? Why learn 20 ways to throw a roundhouse kick? It doesn't make sense to me. So, Bruce, one of the quotes that I think is very important is that he said it's about daily decrease, not daily increase. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because you want to have these techniques for you that are simple, that are direct, that are scientific. It could be, a handful of techniques might be all you need for certain situations, but you have to train these and make them very, very proficient. I mean, Bruce was even still training. He believed he could always improve. So how could people think that they don't need to train as much as Bruce did, and they can just go elsewhere and learn another technique, like another way to punch? It doesn't make any sense. Sure, everyone has their own individual expression, of course. Like if you take, let's say, karate, for example. If 10 people learn karate all at the same time, they all study it for the same amount of time period, say 10 years, they all have their black belts, none of them are going to fight exactly the same, right? It's going to look slightly different. Sure, they could be demonstrating some of the same techniques, but their expression with their technique is going to be different. Their delivery might be slightly different because of how they're built, or they might have certain preferred techniques over other techniques. So, what I think with Jeet Kune Do, the way I see it is that you take the curriculum, you take all the methods, the training techniques that Bruce was doing, and you learn them, and then you express them the way that is honest to yourself. That's the way I see it. I mean, of course, you want to express yourself and you don't want to be robotic, things like that. But you have to have a foundation. You have to learn the techniques. You have to make them, eventually, make them your own, be able to express them naturally and not be rigid or things like that. So I think it's about whether it's any martial art, it's about expressing yourself honestly, but you have to have the foundation to do it. So Bruce had the foundation, in Wing Chun. He eventually modified it, but he had that foundation in Wing Chun. And he started to add things from other arts, but it was just for the sake of improving, say, his footwork, improving his punching, or his power, or whatever. But it wasn't about learning 20 different systems. It makes no sense to me. How on earth will you be able to pull off a self-defense technique in a real-life situation when you've learned 20 different systems? You've learned 20 ways to punch. You've learned 100 different ways to deal with someone that's going to grab you. Why on earth would you want to think you're going to just decipher through all those responses in your mind that you've been learning with all these different styles and then respond? It makes no sense. It's about simplifying things, making things simple so you can respond, because you don't have to think about what technique you're going to use. So I just want people to understand that Jeet Kune Do is, like Bruce said, it's simply to simplify. It's not about daily increase, it's about daily decrease. So these are just my thoughts recently on Jeet Kune Do, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.